So my question is we have a lot of people nowadays, especially where some people want to go into service based things. Some people want to make and sell a product. Some people don't even want to sell anybody else's product. They don't want to sell their own product. They want to sell someone else's product. So why do you think you personally have went into the business of service, as in landscaping and trades and junk removal, everything like that? Why do you think that is personally what you went into as opposed to the other ones? And what do you think other people should do more?
Well, there's nothing I really think that other people should do. For me personally, that it all depends on what kind of gets you interested. Like for me, like being outside, like hardscape, being outside and just working all day is like it's very fun. You're creating something that's going to last for a long time for somebody. So that's where I find the actual passion in that. But you can also make a lot of money out of it, which I enjoy as well.
So it's almost like the reason you like service based is just because you get to serve others, and it's through your own hard work. Like you get to show.
Yeah. So you get that mix too.
Yeah.
And I currently work for a hardscaping company. Junk removal is what I do part time as a side hustle. I think it's a great side hustle to have. Honestly, like some people do it like full time, like some people do, but I don't. But maybe hopefully in the future I could do something along those lines. But as of right now, it's just a part time thing for junk removal. What do I say? With so for things I don't recommend any specific trade to other people. It depends what you're interested in. Basically, if you're gonna become an entrepreneur within a trade, I'd highly suggest getting into that trade for a year or two or working under somebody, or you could bite the bullet and just like jump right in and then try and hire people. Like if you know marketing, you can do any business that you want, with marketing.
Yeah, that's why I
So
think a lot of
you even I know
yeah,
you
yeah,
you do marketing. You could literally start a skilled trades business right now if you wanted to.
yeah, for sure.
All you have to do is just hire somebody who knows more than you in that field, and you'd be good.
Yeah,
As long as you market yourself correctly.
because the world as a whole just comes down to marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's like Coca-Cola itself is terrible. It's terrible for you. It's not like the greatest. Like it doesn't taste the best of all time. It's just because how it's marketed. They literally took over Santa Claus. Santa Claus is Coca-Cola. Polar bears are Coca-Cola. That's the thing about branding, is you can do the same thing with basically any type of business. So that's why I don't know. I personally think, honestly, if you're gonna go to school for anything business and you want to be an entrepreneur, I would say if you want to be an entrepreneur, don't go to school for business. But if you're gonna go for marketing, I would say just go for marketing, because that's the only thing you could go for. I went for 1 year. It's a little different. But what kind of got you in more to, like, how did you grow up and how did that influence you wanting to become an entrepreneur in comparison to wanting to like kind of work in a company?
So I think my father had a huge influence on that, and my older brother as well. My older brother's an entrepreneur, and my dad's an entrepreneur. And I've kind of taken up that mindset as I've gotten older, and I've kind of tried to implant that into my own ways of living, like into my own ways of making money. I try to follow my dad in any way I can. Try to listen to his advice. And sometimes maybe if I don't listen to his advice, I'll put my own like spin on it. But this is where it comes into like having mentors. I'm very lucky to have great mentors for entrepreneurs. So there's so many kids these days that want to go into entrepreneurship, but they don't have the correct mentor. I have a great mentor at my hands. I'm very thankful for that. But even if you don't have the right mentor, that's fine, because if you're hungry enough, you'll go out and seek a mentor, whether that be like a book that you read, find someone, or someone that you find online. You can follow the advice that they have to give you.
Yeah, it's almost like people nowadays. There's this weird thing where they kind of take not having a mentor as an excuse. Like, I had nobody to teach me. That's the thing they usually say. But
yeah,
now, not even
that
nowadays.
means you're just not hungry enough.
Yeah,
if you want to use the teacher, not hungry enough.
Yeah, a mentor doesn't necessarily have to be a human being. It's best if it is. But yeah, like you said, a mentor can be a book. A mentor can be like a YouTube channel. A mentor can be a school. A mentor can be a bunch of stuff, right? Like, it just depends exactly how you look at it. Because people will just go like, I don't have a mentor as a scapegoat. And that's what's great about you is like, not necessarily. It's like you had it perfectly set. You have the perfect mentor right off the bat. You know what I mean? So it's almost good because you the way I see it is having a good mentor makes you an infinite mentor. So you learn things. Information is always relayed. So you learn stuff from your dad, right? You tell your
Yeah.
friends, you tell other family members, and now they all have the information. So one mentor. That's why I think it's so important to be knowledgeable and things like that, because you become a well of knowledge for the people around you, and then you're improving everyone's lives at that point. It's kind of like a melting
Oh,
pot of knowledge. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I also want to like, there's different mentors for everything. Like a lot of people have parents that they see as the perfect mentor for what they want, but their parents aren't entrepreneurs. They are like either public sector workers or like whatever, like. And I know a lot of people that have. There's nothing wrong with being a public sector worker. Like we need more. Like they're great, like teachers. Um, I know a lot of people that have parents as teachers, or like someone who works in like the government or law or something, like that industry. And these kids, they're very academic based, but they don't understand how effective entrepreneurship is if you chose it as a lifestyle. They don't know how much that could benefit themselves, or they don't understand. They think it's more impossible than it actually is.
Yeah.
So they're very academically driven, and they see their what is it? They measure their success by how far they can go academically, how many years of school they go to, what paid industry they get into, and and they take a lot of pride in that. Just like how I take a lot of pride in entrepreneurship because
Yeah.
it runs in the family, and for
Just
other people, their things run in the family.
Yeah, just to touch on what you said earlier, they think that it's kind of like not possible for them. Um,
Yeah,
it's funny when people say that, because everywhere they go, every day, and everything they've ever drank in, eaten, walked into a store to buy, the clothes they bought from said store, the bus they took to get somewhere, it's all entrepreneurial. You know what I mean? It started from an
yeah,
entrepreneur. It always did, right? Or the government sometimes,
mm-hmm.
but mostly an entrepreneur. So it's almost like a denial of your own ability. You know what I mean? Because I don't think you have to be a genius to be an entrepreneur anyway. You just have to
Yeah,
take
yeah,
actions. Sometimes not even the right actions. You just have to take actions, and I think a lot of people are really scared about that. So they want to hang under the umbrella of academics, or under. I guess if you're a government worker, like the government, like you're always kind of secure in that. But really, I think almost everybody in the world has unless you're like mentally like ill or something. But um, have the ability to take actions to be an entrepreneur.
yeah. Honestly, like I think that like people, yeah, like people like you and me, like in school, if I remember this correctly, we weren't like A students.
No.
No, but because we weren't really thinking about that. But I think I don't mean to sound like a kid who just saw a bunch of Alpha Sigma edits, but like it to us, like spending a lot of time in school seems like it seems like it seems so stressful.
Yeah.
That seems like something that would take up so much of our time that we have on this earth,
Yeah.
and we don't want to use that up.
For me, academically, you're 100% right. When we were in school together, because for the viewers, we went to school together all of elementary and middle school. So for middle
Yeah,
school, I don't think you were good. I'm not exactly sure, but I know I wasn't. And then all throughout high school, I wasn't good either. So I failed a bunch of classes in grade 9, and then grade 10. I don't think I failed anything, but I didn't do great at all. I got like 60s. And then grade 11, when COVID happened, I don't know why, because during COVID, I didn't have the entrepreneurial mindset, but I had the mindset, like, I used to be really fat. I got really thin at the time. Now I'm building back up, but I got really thin
yeah,
at the time. So I wanted some way to work on something productive, and all that was there was like online school at the time. So from all of grade 11 to grade 12, I graduated with honors. I got honor roll for when I graduated then, just because I needed somewhere to put my brain. But that translates to what you were saying, where in middle school, and how entrepreneurs work in school, they don't feel like it's worth their time because it doesn't align with their goals. You know what I mean?
yeah,
In college, my first year of college, my only year in college, I dropped out. I just want to clarify that. I did okay for most classes, but there's some things I wasn't good at, and I didn't try as hard as I could have. But the reason I ended up dropping out is because I felt like I didn't want to spend another 3 years just away from what I could start now. And also, I started my agency, which this is powered by Porta Media. I started that October 2022, and it did really amazing those first few months. And it's still doing pretty good today. Obviously, you have down months, you have up months too. But I think I think if you're an entrepreneur and you're not dilly dallying, and you've taken actions and you've created some type of entity, or not an enterprise or anything, but some type of entity, I think it might be a good idea if it's doing well enough to maybe just try to leave school for a year and see where it
yeah,
goes from there. because I don't see the, you're not losing money. You're going to just jump back in with the loan you already have. So
Yeah.
next I was wondering if we could talk about, this is something I wanted to get your like just full opinion on, is, do you, maybe for you specifically, so maybe we can go over quick what for you specifically, then what the world in general. What do you think the pros and cons are? Not a direct list, but maybe we can just have a discussion quick about professionalizing yourself, like your pages, or you as a person, like when you walk out, who do you say you are, versus kind of staying low key and working on your companies kind of behind the scenes. What do you think about the contrast of the two?
Are you referring to like with your social life versus your business life?
Well, kind of the way of kind of merging both. So say like, for this is perfect. Me and you are a perfect example. My Instagram is connected directly to the agency, correct?
To your agency, yeah.
Yes, and just me as just the professionalization of me as a person, right? But what do you think the pros and cons are of that, and what do you think your way? Why do you specifically use your way of kind of staying and just focusing on the businesses from behind the scenes?
Well, I think it also depends that we have separate businesses. You are a
Yeah,
marketing agency, so you're also marketing yourself because you're the guy. You're like the head guy, the CEO. You market yourself, so you have to have those things on your Instagram page. My Instagram page is just a personal, private page. It has nothing to do with my business. It's just I post like basically like shitty memes on there all day,
yeah,
and then basically junk roll is completely separate. Like not a lot of my friends know I do junk roll.
yeah.
Like so, like I tell like some people, but it's just like it's just a thing that's on to have it on Google or have it on Kijiji, just ready to go for anyone needs it. I'll respond. So I try to keep a lot of things separate too, because so the thing is with me, like before when I first started doing like about a year ago, I quit my job and I started learning the ropes from my father. Um, what I would do is instead of like I kind of had everything like jumbled together. Like I would get up like at 10 a.m. It was weird because I just quit my job at 10 a.m. I would like chop up everything today. I would work out randomly, rest, clean my room randomly, rest. Like go do a junk removal job at like 3 p.m. Come back home, rest, do something else. Like it was very jumbled. I was like, man, I don't. I need you need the stress as an entrepreneur. Like it depends on what you want. Me personally, I know that I wanted and needed that structure in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So recently, what I've been doing is I kind of keep everything tight in the one sector of the day, so the rest of the day I can fully recover and I can enjoy like consistent rest, like consistent rest. And if I have consistent work, then the consistent rest, it just feels so much more organized.
It's actually interesting because I was having thoughts about this the other day. Honestly, thoughts about this the last few weeks is, you gotta actually use the, not exactly the 9 to 5 format. You should edit it so I think you're working a lot more than 9 to 5, like you do. You work like
Yeah,
12-hour shifts. Not shifts,
yeah,
but when
yeah,
you're doing jobs, right? It's like 12 hours long, sometimes 10 hours long. It's good to kind of incorporate the 9 to 5 format in your life, because the 9 to 5 format exists for a reason, because people are most productive while working 9 to 5 for that length of
yes,
time. You know what
yeah,
I mean? And the thing is 9 to 5 hours are meant to be sustainable. That's why they're used in government, and people who work for places for 30, 40 years, they all use a 9 to 5 format because it's sustainable over that few year period. So the best way to kind of get productive, I think, is to build off of that. So me and you, we're both young. We can work longer hours than 9 to 5s, because
yeah,
we don't plan to do that forever. For a few years, 5, 6, 7, even
yeah,
10, right? We can work way more than that, and then by the end of that, we don't have to extend that to, you know what I mean? Because we're younger. So the 9 to 5 is built for people who end up retiring at the age of 60. They work for that long, and it doesn't completely annihilate them. We can do the same thing for
yeah.
10 years easily, and even work longer. So I think it's a good thing to kind of incorporate the 9 to 5 and that structure into your daily productivity habits, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Even after another thing I wanted to get into is balancing extracurricular activity to your entrepreneurship, to the business you run. For me personally, I always make sure I work out. I always make because I want to be as physically fit as I possibly can. That's literally a part of who I am. Like literally just working out is a part of who I am.
Yeah.
So even after, so I work for, like I said, I work for a hardscaping company. So even after, and like it's not, it's my brother's hardscaping company. Um, and basically I work like 12-hour shifts there, and it doesn't feel like I'm working a 9 to 5 because it's for someone who's like I'm really close with, and like it feels like a project that I'm a part of.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll work like a 12-hour shift, and then I'll be so like beat at the end of it, and I just like have to be mentally fortuitous. I have to just get up and keep working out. I have to work like finish this workout. Like I'll be fighting to stay awake. I'll be pushing myself to train because like I know I'm not going to do it the next day. I'll be too tired. Like I'll always make sure. But what I've been trying to do recently though is in the mornings before I go to work, I work out. So I'm not pushing myself after work because after work you get so depleted. So I want to say like hard labor is way more physically exhausting than any workout because it's for an elongated period of time. And so that's why in the mornings I'll push myself to like get like a 1 hour workout and then I'll go to work. And then by the end of that, I'll be done everything. I can just chill and just rest and just replenish. I've developed a great routine for myself. And then on the days that I don't do hardscaping, I'll try to fit a junk removal job in there, which will give me like junk removal jobs can range anywhere from like 100 to like I don't know like $4,000 if you're lucky.
Yeah,
or even more.
You said I kind of want to incorporate this in what you're saying, but what role would you say self-discipline has in business in general? And I want to transition that into lifting after, so we'll kind of go from there to there. But where do you think self-discipline has a place for business in general?
I think it should be everything because you need the consistency. Because motivation is not. It's good to have. You should have motivation on top of the discipline to push you even further. But this motivation isn't forever. It's very temporary, and I think that you should definitely make sure that you are 100% disciplined 100% of the time that you are doing something, because you're not even gonna want to do it half the time. You're like, fuck, this is. But no, you have to lock you have to like chain yourself to your to whatever you're doing. You have to chain yourself to the fucking ground and just put your mind, all your effort, all your energy into that thing. Yeah. That's what discipline basically feels like.
Yeah.
You're holding yourself in place while you focus in on the thing that you don't want to fucking do.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the good thing about it is discipline's always the fallback. Motivation you always want to go to first because it feels better. You can get more out of it, and kind of like it's kind of like cocaine. It's almost like the cocaine or like the meth or like the fast hitting drugs where you just what I mean, but you can't go forever. The high runs out, motivation eventually, and it's good to fall back on some type of discipline, right? So you can keep your productivity level high. It might not feel the best, as good as it felt, when you're motivated, but that wave always comes back. It always returns. At some point, it might take a week, might take a month, might take 3 years, but at some point, it kind of swings back. I kind of want to talk about your lifting journey, just in general. You know what I mean? Because I think self-improvement as a whole, you're one of the better people to talk to about it because you've increased financially, you've increased personally, you've increased spiritually, you've increased physically. So physically, how would you say that affected you as a whole? How did it benefit every other aspect of your life? And just speak about your fitness journey as a whole.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it was the actual physically developed. Like I was like really skinny when I first started working out. And I don't think me getting bigger had anything to do with what mentally changed about me. I think what it took to get bigger had everything to do with what mentally changed about me. Because what it took was a bit of like a lot of motivation when I was younger. Now it's like 95% discipline. When I was younger, it was like half motivation, half discipline because I was more optimistic about it. It was like discovering a new thing. It was like a drug to me. Like working out was like incredible, but now it's kind of like it's lost a bit of its magic. Well, I don't know. I've just become. I guess my receptors aren't as sharp in a way, but yeah. So what it took to get like stronger, like the push-ups, the sit-ups, the staying up late, the going to the bathroom during school to do. Sure, asking if I can go use the washroom so I could go do like push-ups in the bathroom, and then when people would walk into the bathroom, I'd get up really quick enough like I wasn't doing push-ups because I was embarrassed a little bit. Or when I would just get up like at 5 or 6 a.m. just go for a run and then do like a ton of push-ups in my driveway or do like some shit. Like I was just always just doing some cool shit. I thought it was cool at the time. But
there's a question I always wanted to ask you about that because I kind of have those boosts too. Was that mainly a motivation thing? doing that when you were younger? Was it a discipline thing? Was it like I have to
When
get
I
to
was
like
young,
I get to
it
get up
was
tomorrow?
honestly half of it was like motivation
Yeah,
because it was new and like there's certain things in like pop culture that kind of put this illusion. They also honestly they give you a lot of motivation. Like there's fucking like anime training arcs and like anime that you watch, and especially when you're like a kid, like when you're like 14, 15, 16 years old, you're like oh man, I kind of want to be like, oh, this is what it feels like I am. It's not obviously not true.
yeah,
But you're like, this is what it feels like I am. Like, wow, I'm doing some anime pro tag stuff. You know,
yeah,
it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. That's how you feel when you're younger, for most people, or me at least. And yeah, just training as a whole, what it took to get there. I think, yeah, definitely what it took to get there really changed how I see myself and how I see the world and how I act.
yeah.
But there's even after a while though, there's so much room for improvement mentally.
Yeah, I think for me, um, fitness as a whole and in terms of transformation, kind of gave me a almost not a reminder, it's just something I didn't really know before because your first, your first decade and a half of your life, you kind of don't see any change in yourself that's from you directly. It's
No,
like, oh, like my parents made me go try harder in school. Now I have better grades. My parents made me do this, so I did this.
if you don't see the change, you
You
don't
don't
see
see the
why it's so
change.
important.
Exactly. So right when you kind of go through a fitness transformation, which I think a lot of people do first, it's all of your own accord.
That sets it all off. That sets
Yeah.
everything off. It's a chain reaction to
And
whatever you want to do next.
it lets you see that you can make a change if you want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And depending on how big you are, how skinny you are, and how low you got, or how how jacked you got from that from the
yeah.
position, it can literally show you like, wow, we can make a big difference just if we start taking action. So I think it's all
Yeah.
an action taking thing. I think a lot
Which
of
I
these
wanted
ones,
to
yeah,
sorry, which I wanted to say like with anything to do with fitness, I don't care what you want to do with your life. I honestly think everybody, no matter what passion they have, they should always do like something like physical fitness. Like they should always like work out because that'll push them to improve in any other area in their life. I guarantee it.
yeah. And I also find honestly the people I've had the most like the most stress about kind of working with are like people that I'm like, oh, I don't want to work with this person. I don't see them as very trustworthy or hard. They've never been fit people.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because I feel like you said, like we were just talking about, it's a chain reaction from getting fit to the rest of your life. So some of these people didn't have to go through that working out section of their lives. And I think
yeah.
it's even more important when people are working out every day of their lives. You know what I mean? Those are the
Or,
disciplines.
or they're like, oh, I don't really care about that stuff. Oh, whatever. I'm more focused on making money. But like, I don't know. I feel like if you did try working out, if you did work out for a while, you'd be even better at doing what you do.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You get a clear mind. Like it's a bit. I don't know. I find the way I've always said is when I cut down, when I'm cutting down, I feel way more mentally alert. When I'm bulking up, I feel more like physically healthy. So these things, like if all these people are always not they're either underweight or they're overweight. There's no way their brains can be working the same way that a fit person's brain can, because we know that
Yeah,
just being fit
but
helps your
a lot of
brain.
people that don't work out, do you feel that there's an insecurity where they're like, oh, all they care about
Yeah.
is their body and nothing goes to their brain just because they don't do it and they don't put in that effort. So they have to. People will look at you and they'll try to dumb you down in a way so they can feel better about themselves for not working as hard as you, which I think is like really funny.
I've seen the same thing with combat sports people. People who train
Really.
combat sports. It's like, dude, there's people who don't lift or don't do anything physically active who are almost like in like a weird envious, jealous thing against people who do, and they're kind of rude about
Yeah.
it. Like, I don't care about this stuff. That stuff's stupid. And then you have people
Yeah.
in the combat sports side, the whole other side, where they're like, they don't like people who lift either because they think they're under them. And, you know what I mean? So really, a lot of these things, it's like everyone just thinks they're better than each other, and there's a problem there. You know what I mean? People who don't work
Yeah.
out think they're better than people who do work out, and people who do combat sports think they're better than people who work out. Like we gotta like, it's a weird hierarchy thing where we just gotta start.
But then you can go the other way around. Sometimes people who do work out think they're better than people who don't work out.
Yeah,
But like you gotta find that balance too. But also, if someone who's working out is doing the same things that you're doing and you're not working out, then I think they're doing better than you.
yeah.
They're
For
not
sure.
better, but they're doing better.
For sure, for sure. It's just, yeah, I think we measure everything as if they're doing better, because I think everybody has equal potential.
Yeah.
Not physically. I mean, we have genetics and stuff, but I mean, just like in terms of life in general. Like I heard some red pill guys, like nobody's less than a 10. Everyone can become a 10. But I was like, this, like, you just gotta get a little money, hop in a Lambo, and I was like, if you're a midget, I don't really know, but whatever. Yeah. I just wanted to go over one more thing quickly, and that would be just checking my notes. What do you think the value is? We got about 2 minutes left on the timer, so just kind of shoot it. What do you think the value is of being employed in good companies?
The value of being employed in good companies.
Yes.
Well, what it means to have a like a good company for there's different aspects to that. So the company should be having consistent work, obviously. The company should be treating you well, financially. Give you a lot of stability benefits. They should also treat you with respect, like verbally. That's I think if you have all those, that's like a perfect company
Yeah, for
to
sure.
work for.